Hello and welcome. This is Mad Rabbit, and this is a new series. I'm going to be kind of making a season 3 of Medieval Minecraft Creations. For those of you that are channel regulars, you may probably already remember my season 1 and season 2 episodes. I will be starting a new world, and that's what this world is right here. I made it in World Paint. It's going to include basically all the old builds from season 1 to season 2. Um, As you'll see, I'm going to just kind of do a little flyover tour of some of the buildings we put in there. I decided to do this season 2 mainly because, or season 3 mainly because season 2, as I as I presented it to, I can't remember which episode in that series I said it. It was going to be way too big, and I think maybe someday in the far off future, maybe we can go back to that world, and if we're given the proper tools to be able to make the map in the way I wanted to. But right now, it feels like it was way too biting off just way too much. It was way too ambitious for one person to do it who really isn't even into the game as much as they used to be. It just really wasn't going to work out. So it, to my mind, I just really just wanted to free build, and that's sort of what I've been feeling lately. Just free building in Minecraft. I like these big builds. Sometimes I'll do big builds, sometimes small ones. And so if you're gonna, this is well, obviously this is gonna be an episode 1 for the series, and it's gonna use the same texture pack basically that from season 2. As you can see, this all pretty much looks the same. Um, it's basically the Doku Craft texture pack, but with a few minor changes here and there, as I've demonstrated during season 2 with changing some of the heads and skulls to different things, and some of the unused blocks, like the gold ore here, is being used for something else. The ore blocks are basically being used for decorative blocks instead, and things of that nature. And these are textures that were taken from other parts of this existing texture pack. Plus, some were just some of the textures were just recolors that I did, and so that's sort of what we're going to be using for this series. And like I said, I used World Paint basically to create a new world. It's not quite as big as the one well, it's season 2 had several different maps, so it's going to be hard for me to describe which map I'm talking about. But I had tried different maps, and some of them were made in World Paint, and some were huge, and some were small and pasted together. And so what it boils down to is this is a new world. It's roughly I think 6,000 chunks by 6,000 chunks, something like that. Or is that blocks? I don't know. I'm actually trying to remember now. Um, I will be showing a map of the world paint file in here at some point. I'll splice it into the footage either at the beginning, middle, or end. I don't know yet. But you're going to recognize a lot of these builds from previous seasons. And I think a lot of the episodes that we're going to do in this show are going to be us touching up like older builds and like kind of doing like a lot of home improvement kind of stuff. Like as you see here, this one here, this was even before they even had the sideways logs. So there's going to be some things where we just go in and do some changes on here and there. Maybe put dormers in and renovate the interiors because a lot of the builds we had didn't even have interior decorations and stuff. And some of the are my more popular builds from the old days, from the old series. Some of them actually had several thousand views. I think we're going to actually revisit a lot of the old builds and kind of do some touch-up work and improve them with the new textures. So some of these you may recognize from season 1 and 2. If you watch those shows, I will probably include a link in the description as well as perhaps in the video here as an annotation of sorts. But yeah, right now we're in an area where I guess it's sort of like the human main capital city. So what I'm going to be doing in this, the problem with season 1 and 2 was that well, there were different problems, but season two had areas where I wanted to make large cities, and I really just, for the sake of making the map a reasonable size, I was limiting the areas. I really want a really huge medieval city. So what I'm doing is I'm basically making the map around the cities rather than making the map the way it should have looked to begin with. So this city here, this is going to be massively huge. You can't even tell from when I'm flying over the scope of how large it's going to be eventually. I think off air, I'm going to be working on a lot of stuff, and just a lot of the episodes in this season three now will probably be just tours of things I build off air. One of the few things I really want to do like early on is probably get um, an outer wall made so at least you can get a feel for where things are. I may copy and paste. These are like, I really just copied and pasted stuff from season one and two in here, and I may duplicate some of these copies elsewhere in the city. But as you can see here, I'm even leaving a lot of room around the main roadway going in. So this world is going to have a lot of space in between the cities, but a lot of space for the cities. So this city here basically starts here, coming in from the wilderness, and there'll be like a big wall here, and it's sort of the area we just kind of flew over. There's kind of mountains on either side, but not huge, but pretty large, and there's a coastline if you keep going that direction. Um, so some of the other builds we'll have in other cities around the area, but our main focus in this series will be this human city, like the traditional medieval kind of city. And we're going to have the elf build again, as I've showed some of those. I think I'll pause here and I'll go to the elf city. I haven't actually started yet, but I have done some work on preparing the area. So let me pause here and make my way there. Okay, so now we're much closer to the elven build. There's sort of a crossroads area right outside of it. This will go off to the far south, where basically we're going to do the huge wood elf forest. If you remember in season one, I had those huge trees generated in MC Edit. I saved a lot of them, and so I'll be making more of them probably in the future. So it'll be an area where we make a lot of those, and you'll have a lot of cities like in the trees, and I think that's going to be interesting to look at. There's going to be a huge dwarf, kind of a mountain build, also not too far from there. In the far north, there's sort of a desert area. Right now I'm just calling it Desolation, but we'll do some of kind of like an evil build, maybe like um, I don't know. This is all medieval fantasy kind of stuff. The typical medieval cities. That's where we were. That's well, quite a few, quite far back that direction, and then the high elf lands, which you'll recognize from season two. Some of the builds that we were doing, some of the buildings and stuff. I have not placed too many of them. I did place the that wall, and the whole concept was, as you see it rendering in here, was there was like it's basically around the high elf area in the forest, and there the city that you'll see in a little bit. There's a mountain range kind of circling around, and there's one mountain pass going, basically a pass, and that pass basically is guarded by this huge white wall. And I should probably let it render in a little bit because it's well, when I'm recording it, I still need to do some work, some touch-up work here, but yeah. So it's sort of the same concept that you saw last season in, well, really two of the different maps I had from season two. And if you just keep going off this direction, you will see where we're going to be doing the city, the actual high elf city itself. I may actually have some buildings and settlements right around the entry to the kingdom over there, but so let me just kind of go off here. This is like really just coming in really laggy, so yeah, my computer's really struggling with this. Um, but it's not nearly as far away as the previous maps. So I did condense that a little bit. And this city will be pretty huge, but So what I did was, when I was making in World Paint, I just took an area and I raised it, and I kept raising it and raising it and raising it, and I even cut it off a little bit here. Um, this is not finished, obviously. This is going to be turned into the city walls, probably shrunk down a little bit further also. It's still a little too tall for me. So the walls will probably be like that white marble. And I'm debating what to do inside of it. I don't really know yet. I could leave the city elevated like this, or I could just make them walls and make an entrance and just kind of, I'd have to somehow make this round circular area hollow. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to even do or accomplish that. But what this is basically just a big circle. And that was what my original intention was, as I showed you in the season 2 version of the High Elf City. And as you can see here, it's rather large because I actually have it kind of crisscrossed here in the center. We only just now reached the center of it. So it is rather large in circumference. So we can still make a pretty sizable High Elf City. And as I go off this direction, it goes out to the other coastline along the east of the hemisphere. So hopefully I'll splice in when I'm editing this video and show you guys some of the map, what I'm talking about here, where these things are located. And obviously a lot of terrain work's got to get done. And I probably will end up having to lower that to normal sea level, the interior of the wall. And how I'm going to make that wall on the outside, I don't know yet. I'm really kind of perplexed, but so I think this will be more manageable than the idea I had for season 2. This is why I'm sort of doing this series, a reboot of the series. Does that mean more episodes or less episodes than what we've been having? I don't know, because the thing is, I sat down, did some builds, and I really wasn't getting a whole lot of response from people. Or viewership, quite like in the old days, we were getting like thousands of views for a lot of these Minecraft shows. So, and I realized Minecraft's just not really what it used to be. So it's kind of waning in popularity right now. I want to keep going with this and maybe someday actually get a finished product for some of these cities. Um, so I'm just, that's why I like to keep doing it. I'm going to keep going with it a little bit here, a little bit there. And I don't really think that that particular game will ever fully die out. So, yeah. I think it'll be just like it's been. As far as frequency goes, I'll continue as Minecraft does updates when they add new blocks to determine what I want from what they're adding to the game, and try and put it in. And hopefully you guys will enjoy some of the builds I do. If you've seen season 1, season 2, you know some of them I do are, I think, are pretty good. I like building big, and I think really just some of the home improvement ones and some of the other big builds will be of interest. So stick around, and hopefully season 3 will be of interest. I'm hoping maybe one episode a week, or maybe once every 2 weeks, depending. Don't know if it'll be big ones or small builds yet. I don't. I'm leaning away from tutorials, like building something from scratch. I know people like speed builds, so I really can't do that though. As far as, I don't have a second account to do a camera work on it, but I can obviously just build something and record it like first person like this, and show it to people. But um, so yeah, I guess that's another possibility. I could do some of that stuff and just show you some of the things I've made. But yeah, that's really about it. I don't want this one to drag on too long. It's just sort of an introduction to what we're going to be doing in season 3, and just telling you, okay, it's a new world, but it's going to have a lot of similarities to World 2 and a lot of builds from season 1 and season 2. So hopefully, and I'm also thinking perhaps someday, if we can finish this, perhaps maybe making an addition to the map, like off one of the different compass directions, and maybe make survival or something, like we send our people off to build things in survival mode or something. I don't know. All kind of ideas I've thought about. So, well, all right. Well, take it easy. See you next time.